Janananda Praja Janananda Yamuna Tirana Vancha Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Ram Rama Rama Hare Hare Shri Gornitai ki, Shri Shri Baram ki, Shri Shri Bhagagovinda Madhava ki, Kantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Lord of Premanandi, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Shri Guru Maharaj, all glories to Shri Prabhupada. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale, Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminti Namane Namaste Sarasvate Devi Goswami Vicharine, Nirvasesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarini. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 We are reading today from the Srimad Bhagavatam, the essence of all scriptures, as you see here on the sign. We're reading from the 10th canto. We're reading chapter 8, text number 45. Presumably on the board. Traya.
Traya.
Cha.
Cha.
The words are broken down actually here. Upanishad bihi.
Upanishad bihi.
That she refers to the Upanishads, huh? Vedic knowledge. Cha.
Cha.
Sankhya.
Sankhya.
Yogai.
Yogai.
Sankhya.
Sankhya.
Oh, that's the translation. Cha.
Cha.
Satvataihi.
Sattvatai.
Upagiyamana.
Upagiyamana.
Mahatmyam.
Mahatmyam.
Harim.
Harim.
Sa.
Sa.
Amanyata.
Amanyata.
Atmajam.
Atmajam.
Traya chopanishadvischa.
Traya.
Sankhya yogaisha satvatahi. Upagiyamana mahatmyam.
Upagiyamana mahatmyam.
Haring samanyatatmajam.
Harim samanyatatmajam.
Traya chopanishadvischa.
Traya chopanishadvischa.
Sankhya yogaischa sattvatai. Upagiyamana mahatmyam.
Upagiyamana mahatmyam.
Haring samanyatatmajam.
Harim samanyatatmajam.
Traya chopanishadvischa.
Traya chopanishadvischa.
Sankhya yogaischa sattvatai.
Sankhya yogaischa sattvatai.
Upagiyamana mahatmyam.
Upagiyamana mahatmyam.
Haring samanyatatmajam.
Harim samanyatatmajam.
Traya chopanishadvischa.
Traya chopanishadvischa.
Sankhya yogaischa sattvatai.
Sankhya yogaischa sattvatai.
Upagiyamana mahatmyam.
Upagiyamana mahatmyam.
Samanyatatmajam.
Harim samanyatatmajam.
Traya chopanishadvischa.
Traya chopanishadvischa.
Sankhya yogaischa sattvatai.
Sankhya yogaischa sattvatai.
Upagiyamana mahatmyam.
Upagiyamana mahatmyam.
Samanyatatmajam.
Harim samanyatatmajam.
Ladies,
Traya chopanishadvischa. Sankhya yogaischa sattvatai.
Upagiyamana mahatmyam.
Harim samanyatatmajam.
Traya.
Traya.
By studying the three Vedas,
Studying the three Vedas.
Sama, Yajur, and Atharva, Cha. Also. Upanishad bihi cha. And by studying the Vedic knowledge of the Upanishads. Sankhya Yogai. By reading the literature of Sankhya Yoga. Cha. And. Sattvatai. By the great sages and devotees. Or by reading Vaishnav Tantra. Pancharatras. Upagiyamana Mahatmyam. That's the next verse. Whose glories are worshipped. By all these Vedic literatures. Harim. Unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Sa. She. Amanyata. Considered ordinary. Atmajam. As her own son. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. The glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead are studied through the three Vedas, the Upanishads, the literature of Sankhya Yoga, and other Vaishnava literature. Yet Mother Yashoda considered that Supreme Person her ordinary child. Purport. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 15:15, altogether. Not all of you will know it, but many of you will know it. Who knows this verse? Haribo! Wow, scholar. And what does this mean? Well, at least the last line or two lines, whichever way you look at it. What does it mean? Yeah, one of the lines. The whole translation. That's another line.
From me come knowledge.
That's the first line, but the last line is the knowledge. And the compiler of the Vedas, know the Vedas, by all the Vedas am I to be known. Huh? Krishna says. In fact, I don't know if it's actually a fact now, with so much more, let's say, manifest action and subject matters related to Srila Prabhupada, but way back, probably in the early 90s or something like that, one of our godbrothers, Janananda and Prabhu, produced one shloka book. And in there he mentioned this verse, 15:15, was the most quoted verse of all the verses in Srila Prabhupada's books. In Prabhupada's lectures, letters, writings, and so on and so forth. This is the most quoted verse. Because it has this two major aspects to it, isn't it? That everything comes from Krishna, and the purpose of everything is to know Krishna. Two things. And what it means to know Krishna. Well, let's see what Prabhupada says. Yes. He's to be known, as is stated in Bhagavad Gita, by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. The purpose of studying the Vedas is to understand him. So that's the purpose of the Vedas, to understand Krishna. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explained to Sanatana Goswami that there are three purposes in the Vedas. Three purposes. Do you know what those three purposes are? You could probably answer that in different ways. But Lord Chaitanya, particularly in his teaching to Sanatana Goswami, mentions three purposes. Well, that's very good. Thank you. Sambandha? What is Sambandha?
Relationship.
Excuse me? Relationship. And that, of course, that needs to be qualified a little bit. I mean, that could be relationship with your pet dog or whatever it could be. You have to qualify it a little bit. Yes, Khalid.
Relationship between Krishna, Maya, and the Jiva.
Okay, that's the foundation of Bhagavad Gita, more or less, to understand those 3 points. Can you go further? Sambandha? It's relationship, but it has, you could say, necessary foundations in the relationship.
It explores the topic of Advaita and Dvaita.
That's possible. Yeah, that surely would be one of the aspects of Sambandha, to understand the various tattvas. We were hearing about tattvas yesterday, a little bit, the difference in tattva and lila and so on. And that's the Vedas. They deal especially with this subject matter of tattva, different types of tattvas. And relationship, what is our actual constitution? Relationship is not necessarily a realization, it's a foundational. It's like in any subject, you have to have some knowledge and then you put it into practice, isn't it? Many of you are qualified persons in various areas. I don't know what your qualifications are. Daimon, what were you, a nuclear physicist, or what were you?
Pain in the backside.
You're pain in the backside. So you have to know what the backside is, you have to know what a pain is, and you have to apply something to make a pain in the backside. So a very, very elevated subject matter. I'm sure you have a degree in that. I'm sure. 5-year course, that one. Yeah. Where's Rasikananda? Is he not here? Huh? He just went out. He ran away in case I called upon him. He's a dentist, so it's quite a long course to become a dentist. If you don't become a dentist till you get all the tattvas of dentistry, huh? You've got to go through it all. You've got to study from the, this, that, for years on end. Practice. And eventually you realize, I am a dentist. Now I'm qualified. Now I can pull teeth out. My mother used to pull them out with a piece of string. The door bang. Those were the days. You'd be in jail if you did that today. And what to do? We're also same path as Sambandha. We don't want to become dental. Dentist. We want to become transcendentalists. Transcendental. So there's also a tattva for that one. So glad you all want to become transcendentalists. Not dentalists or dentists. So, this is a tattva. People study these to try to understand the nature of this world. There are many different aspects of the Vedas. They study the material aspect. Most people are more interested in the material aspect. Science kind of, without the, let's say, the authority of the descending process, they try to do it the other way around. They try to understand the material energy from the upside. But that's a very, very difficult process, and they never reach the end, to be honest. The Vedas give that information, and people study it to try to understand the material. Well, I'm not going to get very far here because this is not what I want to talk about. But anyway, what to do? Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explained this, and then there's the tattvas of the, beyond the material world, the spiritual energy. What is it? What are we? Who are we? What are you doing here? How it all works, and how you're going to get out of here. All this stuff is there. All this information is there. If you want to stay in it, if you want to get out of it, what you want to do when you get out of it, what's the nature of the absolute beyond the material world, which is relative. Relative and absolute knowledge are mentioned there. But the process is also briefly mentioned there. But most people get caught in various stages and don't reach this stage. This verse which we just read, there's long purport, continue reading it, is a very, very important verse. And it is quoted many times. Lord Chaitanya quoted his teachings to Rupa Goswami. You'll find it coming up quite a few times in Lord Chaitanya's teachings and in our Acharya's commentaries on the Srimad Bhagavatam. In fact, Vishwanath Chakravarti, if we have time, we'll mention it later on, describes this as Paribhasya Sutra. Paribhasya Sutra means a verse which actually explains the essential purpose of the scripture. This verse is described as a Paribhasya Sutra, one of the few verses in the Bhagavatam that has this essential, ingredient. It is the essential purpose of knowing Krishna. Other verses may also be described as Paribhasya Sutra, describing Krishna from different angles. And if you're in Aishvarya Bhav, or if you're in reverential service, then other verses would be most significant. But for those who have the highest goal of the Vedas, to really understand Krishna himself, not just the knowledge about Krishna, not just that Krishna's God, that we should worship him and so on and so forth, but understand him in the highest way, so to speak, as we see here in this verse, and ordinary, that we should look at that. We're not on that platform. But Mother Yasoda is seeing her child as an ordinary child. Just like any mothers here, there are a few mothers here. There's Gandharvika is there, and she has her baby in her lap, and her baby is, she's in that mood of serving her baby. And even if Sangita becomes whatever she becomes in life, she is always the baby to the mother. She's always that little child, isn't it? We heard a little bit from Dayamol Prabhu yesterday in this topic, but you can make it more relative to our present day situation even still. For instance, if you happen to be the Prime Minister or President of a country, when you go home to your mother, if your mother's still alive, does she greet you, bowing down, scared, shivering as you enter the door? The Prime Minister's coming home. He's coming to my house today. What am I going to do? Is she like that with her son? He's the Prime Minister. Other people, if they came to your house, you'd probably be quite panicky. If suddenly the Prime Minister, a message came, he's coming to your house today. For what reason, God knows. But you'd probably be quite panicky, wouldn't you? You get everything ready, reverential. Well, what am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do? You'd be all over the place. The mother doesn't think a minute about that, does she? No, it doesn't enter into her mentality. Where have you been? Why are you late? Sit down. Come on, put your coat over there. Don't just leave it on the chair. Put it over there. Eat your dinner. Come on. Right? He's the Prime Minister. No one else can do that, can they? It's a mood, isn't it? Relationship. Sambandha. But that's the highest sambandha. That's the highest relationship. And that's on the highest platform. Of the other two aspects are abhideya. What is abhideya?
Process.
The process. Process for what? It could mean other things too, but in our case. To reach your goal. So the goal may be different, but what is our goal? What is our goal? Prayojana means goal. What is our goal?
To achieve Krishna Prema.
Krishna Prema, okay. Spot on. To achieve Krishna Prema. So there's a process of achieving Krishna Prema, isn't it?
Sadhana.
Okay, sad.
Sadhana.
Sad.
Hana.
Sad and good word. Anyway, that's another topic which we'll come on to if Krishna allows. A little while. Let's see what Krishna wants. Yeah, we could say sadhana, but the sadhana of course has different aspects to it. But the basic thing of following, anu sankirtanam, what's that verse? Of pure devotion. So, anyabilasata shunyam jnana kama jiranavitam. Anukulina Krishna anushilanam. Anushilanam means? What does it mean? Pardon? Anukulina is favourable. Anushilanam. What does that mean? It's basically sadhana. It means following the footsteps. Following the footsteps of person, or following the shastric injunctions, following the footsteps. Krishna Anushilanam. So we're following the path to Krishna. We're not interested in going to heaven or merging into Brahman or even going to Vaikuntha. Maybe you are. But that's not the goal of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and that's what's not mentioned here. There's no Vaikuntha Bhav in this section practically. There's a glimpse of it and a rejection of it. We heard in the previous verses how Mother Yasoda, when Krishna revealed his universal form to Mother Yasoda, and that's quite something, in his mouth. It's interesting because she expected to see dirt in the mouth, right? Everyone's saying, Krishna has eaten dirt, earth, mud, whatever you call it, right? Sometimes kids do that. I won't say it in case she gets the idea, but sometimes kids do this sort of thing. They eat mud. Yeah? I don't know if you ever had that experience. But You expect to see mud, but it kind of is mud in a sense. The material universe is like a big lump of mud in one sense. But she saw the mud in its manifested form in so many different varieties. Everything you can imagine, practically speaking, with it, including herself, with Krishna on her lap. Everything's within Krishna and outside of Krishna simultaneously. This is inconceivable. All this is explained in previous verses, no doubt. And in the Bhagavad Gita we can see that clearly explained, well not clearly, but mentioned at the beginning of the 9th chapter that everything's in me, but I'm not in everything, and everything rests on me, but nothing rests on me. It's like all kind of contradictions are there. This is Krishna. You cannot, he's inconceivable. This is the nature of Krishna, not like us. Yeah. We're in one sense also a little bit inconceivable, but Krishna is absolutely inconceivable. And to the pastimes of Krishna with his intimate devotees are beyond the realm of those who are trying to understand him by this process, by studying the Vedas or whatever it may be. He's only understood by one thing, pure, unalloyed devotion. So unless we follow that path, that abhideya, following that path, we're not going to realize this. You may get some gyan, mixed devotion mixed with gyan or mixed with karma or something else. But we're not going to get the goal. We're not going to get pure love of Godhead. So sambandha, to act according to that relationship, abhideya, that will vary according to the goal you have. And the third is to reach the ultimate goal, prayojana. The word prayojana means necessities. It means also necessity. Even in the material world, you have a goal, you work very, very hard to get that goal. Maybe go to college, just like Dayamor Prabhupada spent 5 years at college studying how to be whatever he said he is now. I'm not quite sure, I've forgotten what he said. But some very elevated position in society. Prema Pumarta Mahan, what does that mean?
The ultimate.
Yeah, the ultimate or the greatest necessity. The greatest. Everybody needs a relationship. Everybody needs, if we don't have some objective, what do? Your life's a mess. Your life's hopeless. Everyone has to have, call it a goal or whatever you like, but everyone has to have a goal. There's not much incentive otherwise. Something has to be there, whether you could say it's a physical achievement or whether it's an inner aspiration. But everyone needs a goal. Something to work towards. Whether it's the dog looking for a bone or whatever it may be, or causing a thief trying to find somewhere we can steal. But everyone's, got some objective there. So this is the highest objective. This is the greatest. That's a necessity. It's a necessity for the living entity. Part of our constitution, practically. Everyone's got desires, which means we want something, some goal. This is the highest goal. This is the highest thing. Prema Pamartana Mahan. The greatest necessity for the human being is the achievement. We're looking for love in this world. That's pretty important. If you don't get love, your life's, pretty not very good. Huh? You feel pretty bad. Nobody loves you. Whether they do or don't, you're feeling like that. You feel very lonely, maybe get depressed, you even give up. What's the point of life? It's the constitutional nature of the living entity to love and be loved simultaneously. So without love, but the highest achievement of love is not the temporary love of this world, or even the love of our own body, the love of our, whatever it is, the love of our philosophy, various things, but it's the love of Supreme Personality of Godhead, and that's not just a theoretical thing. It has many aspects to it. Here we see that Mother Yasoda is on the highest stage of necessity, for she is completely absorbed in love for Krishna. Completely absorbed. And when we'll hear now what that complete absorption is. In the beginning, the Vedic purpose is pursued in 3 ways, Trayi. What are the 3 ways the Vedas are pursued? Now we've got the Sambandha, Abhideya and the Prayojana. But what are the 3 ways of pursuing? Yes.
Karma, Gyan, and Bhakti.
Could be Bhakti, yeah? Depends on your goal. It is part of the 3rd one. Karma and Jnana, you're completely correct. And the 3rd one? You're not wrong, by the way. But it's a little bit more, it includes a few other things to it. It could even involve other goals to achieve, other stages besides pure bhakti.
Oh, and mukti.
It could be upasana, it's called upasana. It may also include worship of demigods and various things like that. The worship, the path of actual worshipping your objective goal. So these three things are there. Karma activities, fruitive activities, according to the Vedas, which help to elevate you towards your goal, knowledge of that goal, and the practical, or let's say worship, or the of the goal itself. One comes to worship Narayan. When one reaches the complete perfect stage of Upasana Kanda, one comes to worship Narayan, or Lord Vishnu. Even you see in this pastime of Mother Soda, when Krishna, we were discussing after the class with Dayamor Prabhu, I didn't find he was what he said he was, actually. He's better than what he said he was, far better. He was a relief to distress, not a pain. Yeah.
Pain in the neck.
Pain in the neck, okay. Well, he probably had a pain in the neck after he spent an hour with me, but anyway, what to do? So we see there that this is Mother Yasoda, very fascinating. What did she do when she saw the universal form? Well, Vishwanath Chakravarti said, no, it's not Vishwanath, it's Lord Brahma. If you read the 14th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, the prayers of Lord Brahma says something different. And this is also agreed upon by Vishwanath Chakravarti. What does he say about where Mother Yasoda saw the universal form? Who knows? He didn't see it in the mouth, according to Lord Brahma.
In the belly.
In the belly, in the abdomen, through the mouth. Well, what can I say? Different angles of vision. Whatever it was, she saw the universal form. We're not going to vote on that one or argue on that one. Different authorities maybe saw in the mouth, maybe also saw in the abdomen. No, this is transcendent, inconceivable. This is Krishna. So what did she do? Did she fall on the ground? More or less.
She closed his mouth.
Pardon? She closed his mouth? No. No, maybe I didn't hear that one. What did she do? Or what did she say, first of all? Then what did she do? What did she say? Who remembers? Some of you may have been here. Who remembers? What did Mother Yasoda say? Or think. Maybe not say, think. Let's get more.
She must be dreaming, probably.
Is this a dream? No, it's not a dream. My eyes are open. What else she say? You can't be dreaming.
She started considering that Krishna may be the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
There may be some indication like that. But that wasn't immediately what she was thinking. Thinking, is this some effect of some other source? Is it mystical display? Is it some demon or something who's entered in? She had all kinds of sort of other thoughts. She couldn't imagine that this could be her, what is this? This is my son. What am I seeing here? This is unreal. Is it some kind of some effect of Maya? What is this, Is the demigods trying to play a trick on me? What's going on here? I better pray to Lord Vishnu to save my son from this. She then started offering prayers to Lord Vishnu. Save my son, basically. Protect my son. Please protect my son. She wasn't in the mood that my son is Vishnu. My son is God. And God, she said very word, God, protect my son, please. And there may have been a little indication of that that maybe my son is God. But that doesn't fit. That's called rasa bas. That's against the relationship. She is the personification. She's the topmost origin of Vatsalya Bhav. Vatsalya Bhav means motherly affection or fatherly affection, parental affection. She's the origin of that. She's the perfection, the personification of that. There's no room for this mood of reverence, chivalry, and so on in that relation. Is that clear? And even though it kind of popped its nose up, come on, a little bit of reverence here. Oh, that doesn't fit. So we heard yesterday how Yogamaya completely then, whoop, that was gone. And things were back. The curtain was gone. They opened again. Pure Vatsalya Bhav does not entertain this kind of reverence. Just like in a mother-child relationship, there may be sometimes, but it's not meant to be there. The mother-child relationship is what it is. And its highest, perfect, purest form is Mother Yasoda. When we hear this, then this purifies us of any illusion in this idea, you could say. But this was unbearable. Even to think of her son as God is an interference. That's the difference between Mother Yasoda and Mother Devaki. Mother Devaki has an element of this seeing of reverence towards her son. When he appeared in a forearm form, in the prison of Kamsa. And Mother Devaki is a little reverential there. Of course, everyone would probably if he appeared in a forearm form, but still she had this reverential, she was kind of understanding, my son is God. You know, it's like a little difference, a tinge of, what a big tinge you could say. That's one of the reasons why Vasudeva, when he took that baby that was born of Devaki across the river Jamuna to Gokul Vrindavan, and replaced the baby with a girl, who we heard yesterday, Yogamaya, or at least an expansion of Yogamaya, and took that child across the river Jamuna back to Mathura, he put his baby boy down. Krishna was born of Vasudeva and Devaki, everyone knows that. Put the baby on the cot, on the bed, and took the baby girl away. This is another subject, you have to read it if you don't know about it. And then he didn't realize, he didn't see there was another baby on the bed. He didn't see the baby. He couldn't see it. There was another baby boy there. Baby boy was born of Yasoda. Even Yasoda wasn't aware at that moment. Why didn't he see the baby? Why could he not see that baby boy? Yogamaya hid him, that's the answer that's given, isn't it? Yogamaya hid the child so he couldn't see him. There's another angle there too. Because he was not in the same mood as Mother Yasoda. His mood was reverential. You cannot see or understand, we cannot see or understand or enter into this relationship as long as we have reverential spirit or mood. Not visible. He reveals himself, as Daimon was saying yesterday, Yetam Mam Prapadyate, as they surrender. So if our surrender is mixed, which of course it is, it's complete at the moment, practically all rules, regulations, reverence and so on and so forth. Even in our daily worship, Prabhupada said, we actually worship in the mood of worshipping Lakshmi Narayan. We're not on that level of spontaneity. So as long as that tinge is there, one cannot actually, we can hear about it, it's ecstatic. We may have this is my goal, but we have to go through the Abhideya to reach the goal, the right one. Krishna Anushilanam, following in the footsteps. Anu means always, but it can also mean following in the footsteps of, the actual perfect devotees in that path of pure devotional service. I'll finish the purport, and if we have time, we'll read one or two other things. Where do we get to? 3 ways. When one reaches the complete perfect stage, when Parvati asked Lord Mahadev, Lord Shiva, what is the best method of upasana or worship? Lord Shiva answered. What did Lord Shiva say? It's another angle now on that path. Aradhananam sarvesham Vishnu aradhanam param. Vishnu pasana or Vishvaradhana. Vishvaradhana. Worship of Lord Vishnu is the highest stage of perfection as realized by Devaki. But here Mother Yasoda performs no upasana, for she has developed transcendental ecstatic love for Krishna. Again, with the word is used like that, but she is eternally in that. It's not like she becomes Mother Yasoda. Sometimes we read and we hear that Drona and Dara, if you read in the Krishna book or even the Bhagavatam, you will see that Drona and Dara became Yasoda and Nanda. But you've probably heard this many times over, that this is not exactly the complete picture. Krishna, the Krishna we hear about, the Krishna we're hearing about here, is the direct son of Mother Yasoda. He's not the son of Devaki. That form of Devaki, that child merged into the baby of Yasoda. They look like one child. Killing of the demons was done by Devaki Nandana. Not the business of Vrindavan, the child of Mother Yasoda Nandana. Different. He manifests according to the surrender. And the Krishna who left Vrindavan, or apparently left Vrindavan, is the son of Devaki. Changeover took place, you could say, in their mood. Same person, different mood as we were hearing yesterday. So Drona and Dara, it appears that they were aspiring to have the Lord as their son, just like the Lord. So of course there's no one like the Lord exactly. So, and they're said to become Nanda and Yasoda. That's written there. But if we look deeper, there's a little different aspect to that. And that aspect, or it's described, even it's described in the purports of the Bhagavatam, 14th canto, not 14th canto, earlier chapters, 14th chapter rather. It's described in earlier chapters that Drona and Dara are actually an expansion of Nanda and Yasoda. It's not the other way around. Nanda and Yasoda expand as Drona and Dara, and then when actually Nanda and Yasoda appear in this world, they merge into the forms, their original forms. They're an expansion, partial expansion of Nanda and Yasoda to show the Abhideya, the path, if one wants to develop this actual, mood of Yasoda Devi. Mood. The Lord, many times the eternal associates of the Lord, they may do like this. They appear in other forms to show they're actually the personification of that particular prayojana. But they appear in other ways as if they're practitioners, and we follow in their footsteps, and one could then, that if one has that mood, then one can develop that mood of pure devotional service, no matter what path it's on, what your goal is. Even the worship of demigods or anything, you follow somebody who's supposed to be fully tuned into that objective goal. That's the best thing. And the same thing in mundane studies, you follow a professor or somebody who's supposed to be the expert in the field. So Mother Yasoda is the topmost when it comes to Vatsalya Bhava. One can never become Yasoda, that we know, but you can develop, or one can develop that mood. It's not generally the objective goal of our acharyas, as we've heard recently on several occasions. We don't hear very much about this, but this section of the Bhagavatam is dealing with this. Vatsalya Bhava. Vatsalya is parenthood. And we don't generally, not many of our acharyas, although it's said that sometimes, but very rarely, mostly they're in Madhurya Ras, or in Sakya Ras, friendship or conjugal. But this is Vatsalya Bhava here, so it's very sweet also. And many, we see there are sampradayas. There's a sampradaya in Gujarat, the Vallabha Sampradaya, Pushti Marg. Their general goal is to attain Vatsalya Bhava, the mood of Mother Yasoda, worshipping baby Krishna as a parental affection. It's an amazing thing from the mundane point of view. How can people understand this? I mean, most people's level of, if they accept a Godhead at all, mostly their acceptance of Godhead is absolutely reverential, isn't it? Pretty much. Mixed with a kind of a tinge of selfishness, but it's pretty much reverential. There's not much maybe with, not entirely, you could say, well, it is, but even the service attitude is with reverent, like you bow down, my God, please give me this, please engage me in your service. It's the foundation, you could say, of the door of a relationship with Krishna, but it's a very beginning stage. And most people don't see much beyond that, and even deny anything beyond that. If you start mentioning these things outside of a devotional circle, for most people it's not very digestible, to say the least. And some people it's totally, it cannot be, it's got to be stopped. Isn't it? They'll practically kill you if you stay, practically speaking. It's all reverence, and there's no question of a relationship beyond that. There's no idea what it means, even service. They have very little idea, if any, what it really means. It's just a sentiment. Very, very shallow understandings are there. But here we see that Mother Yasoda just looks at her baby, her child. What do you mean, God is a baby? What are you talking about? Are you mad? Even Lord Brahma had a problem with it. Right? Even Lord Brahma had a problem with this. At least he showed a problem. How can this little boy be my worshipable Lord? Playing around like a little kid, like any other kid. How can this be my God? He had some doubt there, you could say. There are other factors involved. Some doubt was there. What to speak of an ordinary person. That God, that you can, God doesn't have napkins, though. No napkins. He's a baby. Nowadays it means mother changing the napkins all the time. But that motherly affection, you have a motherly affection with God, a fatherly affection, relationship with God. It doesn't fit into the normal understanding, does it? God is the Father. I am the Son. Okay, it's one relationship. But here we see, you're the Father, God is the Son. Well, you're the Mother. It's kind of amazing, huh? Just imagine, you can become, in the mood, you can't become Janananda, but you can be in that mood of assisting or being a part of that if you're in that side of Bhav. Or if it's another relationship, go there. But any relationship. Now, is it more pleasing to the Prime Minister, the present, in his heart of hearts, if this relationship is normal? When he's home with his mother, is that more pleasing than when he's in the Parliament House where everyone's, in reverence, more or less? Which is more satisfying?
It's different.
It's different, but which is in the heart, maybe you've experienced, maybe you've not, but which is more experienced? Which is more dear to the heart? The home. With the mother and father, your home. This is home. What to speak of conjugal. Even big personalities, sometimes they just want to let their hair down. They're always like, everywhere they go, ah! I'm George Harrison said that one time. Everywhere he goes, people, they're trying to jump through the window to see him and jump through the glass, The girls are all screaming and having, ecstatic symptoms when they see him coming through the door and things, Reflection of ecstatic symptoms. I just like to be an ordinary guy sometimes, It was painful, you're always on, the light's always on you. You got no freedom, Just being normal. And with your friends, they like to go out and have a game of golf with their friends, and you don't say, "Oh God, I better not beat the Prime Minister, otherwise I'll lose all my privileges." I'm going to beat him at all costs. No, you're not. Yes, I am. They're like going at each other, and that's perfectly fine. Perfectly fine. There's no relationship on that level. Otherwise, it's artificial. The relationship is very loving, spontaneous. That's the objective in relationship, which is, again, in the beginning stages, not something which is very much, you could say, applicable in people's lives. But even in our lives, we can't jump there. We've got to be very careful and act according to our level of maturity or advancement in Krishna consciousness. And if we follow in the footsteps, Krishna Anushilana, then one can gradually progress towards this prayojana, this Krishna Pramartha Mahan, this highest goal. Otherwise we get stuck and we may end up, who knows where we'll end up. You might end up in Vaikuntha if you're lucky. Not bad, you could say. But that's not the goal of Lord Chaitanya's movement. That's not the highest goal. That's not the highest Pramartha. I just can finish off this purport here. Then, where are we? Where do we get to? Oh, here we go. Vishnu Upasana. Yeah, but here, Mother Yasoda performs no Upasana. Maybe I didn't read the previous lines, did I? She performs no Upasana. She has developed transcendental ecstatic love. Yes, that's what she is. But that's a permanent factor. It just ever increases. Another inconceivable aspect of love. Or of perfection. She performs no Upasana. She's achieved already, or developed, a transcendental ecstatic love for Krishna. Therefore, her position is better than that of Devaki. In order to show this, Srila Vyasadeva enunciates this verse, Traya Chopanishidabhi, etc. He enunciates it, explains it, he speaks it. When a human being enters into the study of the Vedas to obtain Vidya knowledge, he begins to take part in human civilization. It's the beginning of human civilization. How can a non-human understand this? What to speak of one who's a human studying the Vedas. Then he advances further to study the Upanishads and gain Brahmagyan, impersonal realization of the Absolute Truth. And then he advances still further to Sankhya Yoga in order to understand the Supreme Controller, who is indicated in Bhagavad Gita, Parang Brahma, Parang Dhamma, Pavitram Paramam Bhavan. Who said that? Arjuna. He's seen universal form, huh? He's seen this. God. Reverence. So there's a kind of a bit of a reverential response here. When one understands that Purush, the Supreme Controller, to be Paramatma, one is engaged in the method of yoga. Jnana avastita tadgatena manasa pashyanti yang yoginaha. But Mother Yasoda surpassed all these stages. She has come to the platform of loving Krishna as her beloved child, and therefore she is accepted to be on the highest stage of spiritual realization. This is for our benefit, you could say also, because she's always on that platform. It's not that she necessarily comes to that platform, but for our benefit, this is how it's explained. The Absolute Truth is realized in three features that you all know. Not all of you know, but many of you know. What is that? Brahmati, Paramatmeti, Bhagavan iti Jabdate. Those who are learned scholars or learned persons know the Absolute Truth in three features. Vedanti tattva jnanam advayam. But she is in such ecstasy that she does not care to understand. Who cares? Even if he is Brahman, even if he is this or that, who cares? He's my son. What is Paramatma? Or what is Bhagavan? She doesn't even care about Bhagavan. This is the Supreme Person. We cannot imitate. We have to follow. Follow the path they give, or to follow the path of their representatives that teach us how to approach this highest prayojan. Therefore she is accepted. She does not care to understand. Bhagavan has personally descended to become her beloved child. Therefore there is no comparison to Mother Yasoda's good fortune, as declared by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Ramya kachit upasana rajavada vagena yakopita. The Absolute Truth, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, may be realized in different stages, as the Lord says in Bhagavad Gita, verse which was quoted earlier, Yayatamam papanjate. As men surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. Everyone follows my path in all respects, O son of Prita. Everyone follows my path in all respects. That's an interesting statement, isn't it? Misunderstood, you could say, or misapplied in many ways, isn't it? Therefore, everything's the same. There's one whole philosophy, whatever you call it. There's a big movement that has, misapplied this statement. Everyone follows my path in all respects. Therefore, all paths, their philosophy is all paths lead to the same goal, basically. Okay, well, let's say we're in France right now, I think. Are we still in France? Yeah, okay. We're in France. We're in France? Okay. We're in France. Are there many roads in France, are there?
Yes,
many roads. All the roads are provided by kind of the government, I suppose you could say. Government department, the road department, whatever it's called. All paths are provided by them. Whichever road you go on, maybe a little private road, but let's take, this is not a perfect example, but you can get the idea. Whatever way you go, you've got to go on the government road. You can't make your own road. You start trying to build your own road to Paris, ploughing through people's fields, through their houses and whatever, you'll get in trouble. You have to follow the government path, don't you? And even that you might get in trouble. Sometimes you get fined for speeding or for something else, driving the wrong way. If you're from England, you might go the wrong way on a roundabout. You be careful when you drive. You get to a roundabout, there's no one around. I did, the first time I ever drove in France, that's what I did. There was absolutely no one around. I got to the edge and I turned the wrong way around the roundabout. And then suddenly a car was coming the opposite way around the roundabout. You've got to know the rules of the road, huh? And follow them also. So everything is the path, the government path. But that doesn't mean that every path is going the same way. Does it? If you want to go to Paris, you've got to know which road goes to Paris, right? If you want to go to Marseille, which is in the south of France, it's a different road altogether, isn't it? It looks like the same road, but it's the opposite direction. You've got to know which direction to go. You've got to know the rules of the road. You've got to know where you want to go, and you've got to know which road leads to where you want to go. It's not all the same. It's not the case at all. That's the Mayavad, maybe some Mayavad philosophy. Even they have a strict path. It's not all the same. But it's just a dream. It doesn't work like that. We've got to follow. If you want to develop the mood of pure devotional service, we have to follow in the footsteps of a pure devotee. It doesn't work otherwise. You might get a little bit along the road, but then you get lost. If you ask me the way from here to Paris, let's say go out the gate, turn right. Is that enough? Is that the end of the story? Well, what do I do now? There's a T-junction, What do I do? He said turn right, so I'll turn right. You get to the next junction, he said turn right, I'll turn. You'll get back where you started again if you're not careful. At each step you've got to know what to do next, right? You can't just take the first rule and follow it everywhere along the line. You're going to go around in circles. You're not going to get anywhere. It's like that in follow the path. It doesn't mean that, because we did that 5 years ago, you got to do it. You may follow after. You may follow a little bit, what you did 5 years ago. No doubt there's a foundation, but you don't live in foundations. You have to have a foundation for a building, no doubt. But you don't live in foundations. The foundation always has to be there. But we've got to know how to build the building or go forward in spiritual life also. The absolute truth is realized, we've read. Therefore, there's no comparison to Mother Yasoda's good fortune, as declared by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We read that. I think we finished the purport. One may be a karmi, a jnani, or yogi, and then a bhakta or prema bhakta. There's a bhakta and a prema bhakta. You want to be a bhakta or a prema bhakta? You want to be a prema bhakta. You want to be a prema bhakta.
Snare.
Huh?
Snare.
Huh?
Snare.
You want to get snare, you want to get that highest taste. But the ultimate stage of realization is prema bhakti, as actually demonstrated by Mother Yasoda. What is that prema bhakti? That Krishna, the heart of the devotee, is so much simply nothing but. I'm going to example it slipped. Nothing but the mood of Mother Yasoda, of course, is protective. The mood of Mother Yasoda is affectionate protection. It's affectionate. Her son, her son is finished, unless she feeds him, unless she has to protect him like a parent feels with her child. She's completely in this mood that Krishna can't protect himself, and by any means. He's totally dependent upon me. This, Krishna is much, much more satisfied by this mood of being dependent upon his devotee, rather than the devotee feeling the mood of dependence upon him. This is the mood of bhakti that depending upon Krishna. But the highest mood of prema bhakti is that actually the devotee is in the conscience. I have to. It's because it's very hard from the material point of view to understand or to even visualize in any way. But the Lord himself, the Krishna himself, the Supreme Person, the origin of everything, gets the most pleasure like this, of being dependent. Even in the material, maybe a little bit, we gave the example of the Prime Minister being a little dependent upon his mother, even at the old age. And we go on life membership sometimes in the old days in India. You go to some office, the man's 50 years old, he's running a business, he's a very well-to-do Indian man. You ask him to become a life member. He said, first of all, I'll have to ask my mother. That was the usual answer that they give. I'll have to ask my mother. He's 50 years old. He's running a business with hundreds of people working for him. But I know I have to ask my mother. Maybe that's a good cop-out or an excuse not to become a life member. But it's a fact. The mother is like, to them, is like the God, you know. They're always, to the moment they die, they're kind of like, isn't it, Lochan? The mother for a son is like, you know, inseparable. And it's like, you know, to the moment he dies. Indian mood is like that. So that mood, little bit of that indication is where we can imagine, but that mood of Mother Yasoda's, and Krishna's relishing this. And all these arrangements of Yoga Maya are there to further, like spices. Now if you're a cook, Mayapur Chandra is here, and Bihar is here, and Lochan's here. Who else is a cook here? Manjual is a cook. Harin is becoming a cook. Who else is a cook? Who? Bijoy? I bet he is. He's got a natural affection for the kitchen.
8 people max.
Huh?
8 people max.
8 people max.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll give him a test. You know, where we're going there. Where we're going with the cooks.
Spice.
Huh? Huh?
Spice.
Spices. So, you know, if you cook the lunch, well, can you cook a potato sabji? You just boil the potatoes and put absolutely nothing in it, not even salt. What's this? Everyone's saying, what is this preparation? It's potato sabji. They asked me to cook potato sabji. Not really very tasty, is it? Not really very popular. There has to be a little spice in there to enhance the flavour, to bring out the flavour of the potato. Some salt, some pepper, something. What do you think? What do you think? Right? Is he a good cook?
Yes, he good.
Huh?
Yes. He's good.
He's a good cook. Okay, confirmed.
Give him some chili there.
Yeah.
Some butter, of course.
Yeah. Knows how to balance it up. And compatibility, you see. The whole spiritual world is about compatibility. Even the material world, reflection. All the problems in the world we're in is because of incompatibility. In the material world, everything's incompatible from the very beginning. But within it, there's all these incompatibilities too. Mixing of rasas or relationships are all jumbled up. It's not all one. And in the spiritual world, there's compatibility. And when there appears to be some other little thing, it only enhances the actual essential rasa, the essential relationship. So sometimes there seems to be a little bit of astonishment with Mother Yasoda, a little bit, but it's just gone in no time, because the main rasa is the absolute rasa. It's just to show us in some ways also that this is not the real thing. This is not the highest. Just this unalloyed, absolute love for Krishna. It's not just a relative or mixed one, mixed with gyan, mixed with karma, mixed with yoga, mixed with this. No, pure, unalloyed devotional service. That is our goal. Okay, Hare Krishna.
Maharaj, we're in a Christian country here in France.
Are we?
I believe. And there's also a lot of Muslim people here.
There are that.
In
That's
this country.
true. There's a lot of Christians. There's a lot of Muslims. Okay.
And can you help us to unpack the Prabhupada Pranam mantra a little bit with regards to Nirvishesha Shunyavadi and selecting a spiritual path? What are the advantages and disadvantages to selecting a spiritual path, and why?
That's a pretty broad subject matter, isn't it? Pretty goes into great depth. It's something which is, you could say, is dealt with. It's discussed. Even in Jaiva Dharma there's discussion along these lines of other religions or other paths, which is favorable. The main thing is, whatever path it is, it has to be an authorized path. That it's not a concoction or it's like if you have a recipe for cooking, there may be different recipes for cooking halava. Everybody knows there are different types of halava. So many different varieties. But you have to follow the recipe, you don't concoct. So there may be many paths for different persons on different levels of maturity. And those paths ultimately, Dharmam tu Shakshar Bhagavat Pranitam, actual religion comes from God. It doesn't come from, it's not a man-made process. Now as soon as you start mixing things in, say, what's a good preparation to give an example? Lochan? Lochan? What's a good example? Pardon? Pasta, okay, pasta for grihasta. Pasta for grihasta. Pasta, to make pasta. Now, if you put sugar in the pasta, is that right? Not really. I mean, especially if you're Italian, they might punch you in the nose or something. But there's a recipe. Now, if you start changing the recipe, is it going to be really pasta? Not really. It's something else maybe, but it's not pasta. So there's a recipe, there's a line, there's a process. Prabhupada always, when he was talking to Christians, Muslims, anyone, follow the path properly. Don't just say I'm a Christian and not follow. Follow it! That's the point. The path is given, if it's actually the path, is given by God or God's representative. Follow it. And if you follow it, you'll progress. If you don't follow it, you won't. Simple as that. You can say what you like. It's a path, and if you don't follow the instruction, you're not going to get the result. That's how it works. That's the path. That's why I am the path, Jesus said. I am the path. You follow me. Krishna Anushilanam. You follow him, you'll eventually come to the path, whatever your goal is. Your goal may be, according to your goal, may be heaven, whatever it is. But we have to follow the path. He's given the path. But people, if they don't follow the path, Prabhupada wouldn't say your path is bogus. He'd say follow the path. Didn't he? Follow the path. There are many references to that. Of course, with Mayavadi, that's another thing. That isn't our path at all. That's not the path of, the real path of, let's say, that's the other side of the coin. But many people want to go that way. So there's a path for that also, troublesome it may be. If you really want that, you follow it, but that's like against our objective. Christianity, Islam is not. Christianity, Islam is supposed to be theistic. It's meant to worship God. It's meant to go to God. It's the same purpose. And if you follow the path, you'll reach the purpose or the goal. Maybe you reach a stage, as Jesus said in the Bhagavad Gita, in the Bible, there are many things I've taught you. If you can't follow that, then there are many things I haven't taught you. But if you can't follow what I've taught you, how can I teach you more? You have to follow, and then the same path, you'll get more. But then you'll understand the next stage. Like you go to school, you're 5 years old, 3 years old, you go to school, A, B, C, 1, 2, 3. Right? A, B, C, 1, 2, 3. But that's okay at that stage. They don't teach you logarithms or advanced mathematics at primary school. But when the time comes, you go to the next level, and then the teacher teaches you more and more and more and more. So progress.
Just a sub-question to that, Maharaja. If somebody in the public here, maybe tuned in on the internet, if they feel a little fed up with organised religion and they're maybe looking for something else, they tend to look to the east.
Come to New Mayapur. We're definitely not organised religion here. We're trying to be.
They maybe look to the east and see Buddhism as the solution. Do you have any reflection for that person? Do you have any advice for somebody who's looking towards
if Buddhism
the east?
is disorganized religion, is that what it is? I think it's also quite organized, isn't it? Pretty organized. I mean, you can put anything under the title of Buddhism. You can sit there smoking a cigarette and call yourself a Buddhist, but that's not Buddhism. You can eat your chicken, but that's not Buddhism. You can put on dresses, but that's not Buddhism. That's, what you want. They do that under all guises. They do it under Hinduism. Hinduism is probably the most, it's a free for all type of religion, if that's what you want to call it. Probably Christianity. The elements are there. Probably the most, at least externally. I mean, at least in Islam, there's some. They try to maintain different rigid paths, which is, if they're right, they're right. That's good. But many of the others have become very free reign, do it the way you want it type of thing. That doesn't really work. It's a sentiment only. So, organized religion, what does it mean, organized religion?
There are many of these, what they're so-called, I believe they call themselves spiritual but not religious, Maharaj.
Well, there's misconception of what religion is. People have a misconception of what religion is, and this is the problem. It's because, if I cook something, if I cook pasta, and I put, in the pan, I don't know, I'm not a pasta cook, so I can't say it. Something I know how to cook very well. If I cook sweet rice, for instance, and I put salt in the sweet rice, and I tell you this is sweet rice, that's all you know. You'll think that's sweet rice, and you'll get fed up with that. That won't be very palatable. You'll look for something else. Because you're not getting religion. You're getting something else. You're not getting sweet rice. You're getting salt rice. But if you don't know, you'll think I don't like sweet rice. That's horrible. I'm going to look for something else. So if you're not getting the right thing, then obviously you're going to become disenchanted at some point of time. That's what's happening.
That's where we are, I think.
But that can happen everywhere. But that's what's happening. So, you've got to get the right thing. Otherwise, not going to get, neither you're going to get the result, neither is going to be very tasty. You're not going to get much ras out of that. Okay, we're going to finish there. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Premanandi.
Ki jai.
The example for this